Hello everyone, this is Defense Politics Asia and this is the situation report for the day of 865 for the 7th of July. Of course, we are now in the 8th of July and but this is a situation report just to understand what has happened at the end of yesterday. And of course, this day is still ongoing. So I'm not talking about today, but there are geolocation from today as well in the report. And for those that do not understand what is all this about, this is a military style situation report, so it's not meant to be entertaining. If it's entertaining, then good lah. They're just good lah. No, if it's not entertaining, no, it is a report. So yeah. Anyway, we got to start off with the with just one frontline change. That is on top of the frontline changes report that is already published in the on the main channel. So there is a frontline change over at Pivnishne over at the New York front. So this is Torres, this is New York, this is the New York front, and yeah. And it's very happy. And over there is this geolocation of Russian forces at this position, which is interesting. So I'm not sure what is the width of this advancement. It could be like this. It could be lesser than that. So tentatively, what I drew is just a little bit. This is just indicative that the Russian forces have progressed in this area. For all we know, they could also have progressed across this entire sector and actually expanded control a lot more around this suburb. So this is just important to you to note that there could be this possibility because of how inconvenient for the Ukrainians to be positioned in these areas. It could be the case where they have already redrawn from all these areas, and the front line may actually look something like this. So with the Russians retaking the entire of the forest and then the suburbs, this is also possible. So anyway, whatever it is, the Russian forces you're located here, clearly they are going around this high-rise zone. So they are going around the high-rise zone. So this is actually what is likely to be happening right now. And of course, they are also expanding on the other side. So who knows, they might just go around and encircle the whole thing. Yeah, it is possible. So anyway, this is the frontline changes of the only one since the frontline changes report that is out around, I think, 8 hours ago, I think. So we're going to go into the Kharkiv front. So over the Kharkiv front, we have no more reports about fighting over at Sonitsky Kozachok. So not sure what's happening over there. Over at the Lipsy sector. At the Lipsy sector, Ukrainian forces are on the counter-attack over at Lipsy and Kliboke. However, the Russians are also reportedly on the offensive. So not sure who is actually the one on the main offensive. So we will just continue to monitor the current situation over at this Lipsy sector. And so we will move into the other sectors. Over at the Staritsia, there is Russian forces attacking in this area here. There is still no information about the Russian forces crossing over the river over at Vruvaka. Just take that with a pinch of salt. Maybe they never did. Over at the Voschansk region, at the Voschansk sector, Russian forces are on the offensive over in the Voschansk city. There is no report of Ukrainians on the offensive here. It's purely Russians. And geolocation, however, of Russian forces getting hit in the rear position that shows that modern warfare is just dangerous. Wherever you are, you can always still be a target. Ukrainian forces, however, is on the counter over at Taike. So that's where they are focusing their attention at. There is, however, geolocation of Russian airstrike on the Ukrainian forces at Taike. Clearly shows that the Russians are now using a lot of airstrikes to support their operations. Like I said, I said before, I will say it again. NATO is basically training the Russian forces to how to adapt and develop modern warfare techniques. This kind of close air support was never really a Russian kind of thing, in my opinion. It was clear over in the early days of the war that the Russians do not have this very good capability in terms of close air support. But 2 years down the road, 2.5 years down the road, we are now seeing the Russians conducting very close air support for their forces on the ground. And they are not just using no direct airstrikes. They're using glide bombs. at high accuracy. They're using TOS-1A, the thermobaric rockets, to smash fortresses and heavy defenses or buildings where the Ukrainians or their enemies are actually holding up in. So the Russians are now so well trained. The support, all this artillery support, ground air support, is getting closer to and closer to the Russian positions. So it just shows the improvement. Previously, it was not even close. Like in the Battle of Avdiivka, no, Avdiivka haven't fall, not it didn't fall that long ago. The Russians are bombarding the high-rise zone with airstrikes. However, the ground forces is actually very far away. But no, now just merely around maybe half a year, I would say, the air support is getting so close to the frontline forces. It's amazing how much the Russians have improved. Let's see, where is Avdiivka just was captured. It was in February. So in half a year, we are seeing the level of advancement of the Russian operations. So no, this is actually a very bad thing for Western armies, that they are literally training Russia to fight Western style of operation. Yeah, it's just what a messed up position to be in. Over at near Puna or Ukrainsky, there is a Russian guided artillery strike on Ukrainian MLRS position. So that's about it. There's some geolocation. Moving into Kupiansk front. At the Kupiansk front, Russian forces are attacking at Sinkivka, Petropavlivka, Stepova, Novoselivka, and Pishane. Particularly at Pishane, there is some frontline changes, which I already covered like twice. So, and over at the Petropavlivka, there is a tank getting hit by a drone. So that's about it. The one at Pishane is the same one as mentioned in the yesterday's frontline changes report, so I'm not going to rehash the exact same thing. But there's no developments being reported since, so yeah, it is what it is. Over at the Sviatove front, Russian forces are attacking at Stemakivka, over towards Kharkivka as well as Makievka. So, of course, if you want, I can give you a Nevsky as well. So the Russians are attacking in these various positions. No particular special brief or news about these positions. So, over at the Crimea front, Russian forces are attacking at Terny. So bad arrow. At Terny, Torske. They're attacking in the area of Kharkivka, or they are shelling Kharkivka, and they are shelling Serbianka. So that's the current strategic situation. The Russians seems to be entirely in the offensive or in the initiative over the entire of the Oskil front. So you may wonder what is Oskil front. So there's this river called the Oskil River. You can see Oskil River. And this river stretches all the way from the north all the way south. And this entire front line around here is what I call the Oskil fronts, which compose of the Kupiansk front, the Sviatove front, and the Crimea front. So, that is what it is. I need to cough. Moving into the Sivas front, and I hope that didn't cause you to become deaf. If you become deaf, I will use sign language now. No, yeah, that I know it's a family-friendly show. I'm not going to show the other finger, which is this finger. So anyway, the over at the Sivas front, you see, I tried to put entertainment into a boring report. Press the like button. I deserve it. Anyway, just joking lah. Russian forces attacking at Sperne as well as Vimka. So that's about it. Nothing particularly special about this per se, because this was basically the same report as per the day before, except that yesterday we still have Verkhovno-Kanyamsky as well. Moving into the Bakhmut front, in the center flank of the Bakhmut front, Russian forces are attacking in Kalinivka, in the Chasivia area, not exactly sure where, and in the Ivaniske region. And interesting is the Ivaniske region, there wasn't much reports about fighting in this area, since 28th of June. So after a week, we suddenly see reports about fighting around here again. I'm not sure if the Russians are starting a new operation. It may seem like it. So other than the Russian taking the forest south of Kalinina, not very important per se, is a no expected thing to happen. In the south, in the southern flank, it's more interesting. Russian forces not just attack at Ivanivsky, but they're also pushing in Klishevka, Andriivka, and Kodyomivka. And it does feels like this is a concerted operation to go towards this objective, the entire canal. It feels like the Russians are now going to close down the entire canal, since the Ukrainian forces must be super distracted by whatever is happening over at the New York front. So I think this is the current, the opportunity or the window for the Russians to try. However, we do not know if the Ukrainians redrew any forces at all, or they may still be holding the same line very effectively. We do not know. So we just have to continue to monitor and see. But it's just interesting that to see all these 4 locations reporting that there is fighting all at the same time. We haven't seen this for a long time. So we shall see how this develop. Over at the New York front, at the New York front, of course, there is 2 different offensive ongoing. This is the Torres offensive, and then this is the New York offensive. It's 2 different offensive along the same front. So this is the New York front. So over the Torres side, the Torres sector, Russian forces are still attacking in the Druzhba region. They are attacking at Zalizny and at Pivnishny. And particularly, they seem to be expanding in 2 different areas, as mentioned earlier in this video. So in this high-rise zone where the Ukrainians seems to have managed to return, so this entire area is the high-rise zone, the Ukrainian seems to manage to reinforce this area here. The Russians, instead of I'm willing to just push through, like I said before many times. This kind of urban warfare is highly risky for the Russians because the casualty numbers might actually just be 1-to-1. When you come to close quarter combat, your chances of survival is just as best as your opponent, depending on the training, of course. But there is not much in terms of superiority, in terms of the weaponry, unless you don't go into it. You just shell it, which is exactly what the Russians are doing. So the Russians currently, they seem to be expanding outwards, away from the high-rise building. They are expanding in this direction, probably going to go around and then encircle this area and just drive the Ukrainians out. I think this might be the case. Otherwise, no, not sure what else. So the Russians are returning to no shelling, so we shall see how this develops. There is no news regarding the Russians pushing directly into Zalizny itself. There could be some kind of operation because it only makes sense for the Russians to push in this direction. The fact that there is no news or no frontline changes reported around here doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Because remember, the New York column, this entire column over here, that suddenly appeared out of nowhere. And according to certain information that they say that the Russian forces push all the way to this point across a week. So a week of operations, and we have zero information about this development until suddenly we just have one big column that suddenly appears. So this is a surprise, and there is no doubt that this could also be the case for the Zalizny region, where the Russians may be actually already pushing out into Zalizny, and it was not reported. And the next time it reports, maybe they will have another column coming out from this area here. That is a possibility. So why not in this area? As you can see that there is a lot of entrenchment around here. Is just full of entrenchments. Sometimes I can't see it really in the geolocations. I mean in the satellite imagery. This area I believe is updated. But no, we can't really see it. But according to the mapping by someone else, I didn't map all these defenses. It seems to be pretty extensive around this southern part of Zalizny. So there is probably no reasons for the Russians to push through such dangerous minefields and defenses. They'll probably just go through the settlement, go through the forest, hitting into Torres itself. I think this makes a lot more sense. And then take the high ground. Take this high ground. So there's a few high grounds that the Russians may be interested in. These are the various targets. And these few high grounds might be a bit more dangerous because these are probably entrenched positions. But let's see how this develop. So anyway, this is just some analysis about this area. Over at the New York, this Saron Tower around here, There is only this frontline change around here that was reported by Deep State UA based on their mapping. However, there is fighting reported at Eureka as well as towards New York in the area of some railway station, which is not very obvious to me where the railway station is. This is a underpass. Yeah, I'm not sure. So whatever it is, there is some fighting around this area here. So we will just continue to monitor. And geolocations clearly show that the Ukrainians are in the areas where the Russians are not. So no, so the mapping is still pretty much correct. So TOS is now deployed. The thermobaric rockets are now coming to the Ukrainians around this position, and in this area here was geolocation of Ukrainian forces, I believe. These are geolocation of Ukrainian forces. So Ukrainian forces are moving out, and then yeah, so the Russians are already starting to shell some Ukrainian forces that may have came out to meet the Russian forces. So no, things are getting very serious around here. We shall see how this unfold. Let's see, what is this? This some very complicated industrial. Must be some kind of speed run, when they try to do some yeah, it's like some industrial tycoon kind of game. I'm not sure. So anyway, move on over the northern flank of the Adivka front. So at the Adivka front, Russian forces are attacking towards Kalinove. They're attacking towards Vodizenka at Novo-Alexandrivka, towards Luzovatsky, towards Progress at Yekhanivka, Voshod, as well as yeah, that's all. Russian Defense Ministry announced the capture of Sokil, which we have already understood to be the case since 30th of June. So that's the thing. And generally seeing the arrows, can see that the the direction of the offensive seems to be heading towards Pokrov. So so other things is the Russian expansion of this control in the south of Novo-Alexandrivka, getting closer to where the Russians' claims are. But these are based on Ukrainian disclaim. Some geolocation seems to suggest the heaviest fighting is in this sector here, in the west of Sokil. So other than the frontline changes that we have reported in the frontline changes report that the Russians are pushing at Yekhanivka, capturing at least half of the settlement right now. Geolocations of a Bradley getting hit by a FPV over in the north of this entrenchment. Then there's a FPV drone hitting a Abrams tank over this position. So this is a Bradley, this is a Abrams, and at Voshev, this is just I think FPV drone strike on another tank. So the Ukrainians clearly have put in a lot of effort and defenses and resources into defending this area with a Bradley here and an Abrams here and a tank here. They are taking this Russian attack very seriously. This is where the Ukrainians go to die on. They to die on this hill. They got to defend this place. They're going to prevent the Russians from breaking through. And there is certain advantage to defending here. There is a lot of heavy entrenchment which the Russians planning to tackle. So this is what it is. The Russians are going to push. If the Russians manage to take these few settlements and the entrenchment, I think towards the rear positions, there's not much. There's still a lot of entrenchment, but there's a bit more space to move around, I guess. So yeah, that was complicated stuff. But we shall see. We do not know what the Russians plans because they are always not very obvious. They always change their plans all the time. So over at this south of that location, Russian forces are attacking at Novosibirsk, Persia. They are attacking at Yasnobrodivka with frontline changes being noted. And the Russians are attacking at Kharkivka. And the Russian frontline has also changed in this area. So particularly with the frontline change over Yasnobrodivka, just show the Russians are slowly, trying to find a better tactical posturing to attack Yasnobrodivka. And over at the Kalovska Reservoir, the Russians are, trying to create a better, strong foothold in order for them to attack and storm Kharkivka. But due to the lack of directions they can attack from, this is going to become a frontal attack, which is a terrible thing to do. So we just continue to wait and see what the Russians going to do and plan to do. Generally, I think it's not necessarily to not exactly necessary for the Russians to go to Kharkivka. They can first settle the Nevsky problem first by heading to the rear position of Nevsky. Maybe that will do more. Anyway, moving on, over at the Battle of Krasnohorivka, Russian forces are attacking from two different directions according to the Russian information. They're attacking from the east, particularly over in this northern part, and they are also attacking on the western part of the settlement. So this is the two different directions. The aim clearly is to pincer and force a Ukrainian withdrawal. So yeah, but we shall see how this develops. Moving south, there's nothing over at Maximilianivka or Georgievka. In the Konstantinivka and Paraskovivka region, Russian forces are attacking in these two different directions. So this is the usual things. We do not have any updates. Russian forces are also pushing towards Vodian. So that's the usual thing. So if I zoom out, you probably will see Battle of Krasnohorivka, and then Paraskovivka, Konstantinivka, and towards Vodian. So this is the various directions in this sector of the Donetsk front. The other sector that is active is over at this Velika Novosilka sector. At this sector, we have the Russians attacking towards Makarivka. So let me Makarivka. They're attacking from the Staromayorsky region, and they're attacking at Uruzaine. So this is the usual thing, nothing very special about this. Geolocation of FPV drone strike hitting a Cossack 2 armored vehicle in the rear position. So the armored vehicle are probably is just using for transport, ambulance, I guess, because this kind of MRAP style armored vehicles are not it's not suitable for war anymore in the Ukraine war. They are if you go to the front line, it's just going to get destroyed. So anyway, over the Zaporizhia front, there is actions over in the Kayamsky sector and the Orekhiv sector. Particularly, we have, can I put everything in? Russian forces attacking at Mala Tomashka region. They are attacking at Robotine. They are attacking towards Novodanilivka, as well as attack in the area of Pyatikaki. So this is the various direction. Like I mentioned before, this is getting slowly ramping up. This seems to get more and more active, but not yet a full-fledged big offensive just yet. Like the New York front or the beginning of the Kharkiv offensive, it's not that kind of thing yet. Not at the Evka front still. So, but we will continue to monitor. And we move into the Kherson front. At the Kherson front, there is still fighting reported in the island zones, the island chain along the Dnipro River. Not exactly where, not exactly sure where the fighting is. There is shelling reported at Mikhailsky and as well as this location called the Rozliv. Not very familiar with that place. And there is a geolocation of Russian tactical missile strike, X-38 or KH-38 missile hitting a target over at Mykolaiv. So that's about it. Very thin information. But this missile is very interesting because the KH-38 or the X-38, this is the first time I've seen this in being geolocated or at least used in such a frontline manner. And they have FABs, they have glide bombs. So to use something, a tactical missile, that tactical guided missile seems to be a bit of an overkill to hit something on the front line, unless there is something very, very important, of something that they really, really need to hit. Something over here, they need that kind of accuracy to hit it. I'm not sure why or what it is, but it is what it is. Over at the Odessa region, there is a radar system or the air defense system getting destroyed along the coastline. So the geolocation is basically just off the coastline. So it's just what it is. It got destroyed and that's it. So anyway, yeah. So that's it. This is the situation report, also all the summary for the day of 865 for the 7th of July. As you can hear, my voice is I'm still sick. So now I'm just gonna see how it goes. I'm still trying to recover. Anyway, thank you for watching. See you guys at the DPA open mic. Check it out. If you do not know what it is, just YouTube search DPA open mic, and I'll see you guys in the next update.